Hi children, today I am going to start second lesson in geography and the title of the lesson is Energy from the Sun. How we get energy from the sun and how it is again reflected back to the atmosphere, that we are going to learn in this lesson. We know that generally it is cool in the morning and warm during daytime. Every day we experience it, and again towards night it is cooler. And we also experience that during some months it is very hot and we call it as summer season, and during some months it is very cool and we call it as winter season. And this is called variation of temperature in one place. In the same place, temperature varies from time to time. And temperature also varies from place to place. In one place it may be less and in one place it may be more. For example, some regions are warmer and some regions are very cool, as they are covered by ice throughout the year. For example, equatorial regions which receive direct sun rays are hotter, and polar regions which are covered with ice, they are very cold. Now, these variations in temperature, like it is very cool in the early morning and warmer in the afternoon, warm in summer and cool in winter. Cool, it is very cool on hilltops and warm in the plains. If we are in the plains, it will be warm. If we go to the hilltop or mountains, that will be cooler. Warm in equatorial regions. Equatorial regions will be warm and hot, and cold in polar regions. And this is known as diversity of temperature. Different types of temperatures, less or more, can be observed in these regions. So this is called as diversity in temperature. Now let us see what is the impact of temperature variations. Now we know that temperature varies from place to place, and in the same place also from time to time it varies, and from place to place, region to region also it varies, differs. Now what is the impact of these temperature variations? Due to temperature differences between places, winds and rains are caused. And let us see how it happens. If temperature increases, atmospheric pressure decreases. And if temperature decreases, atmospheric pressure increases. And winds always move from high pressure to low pressure areas. And low pressure areas always indicate rainfall. So thus we can see that winds and rains are caused due to these variations in temperature. If there are variations in temperature, it leads to variations in atmospheric pressure, because temperature and atmospheric pressure, they are inversely proportional. If the temperature decreases, atmospheric pressure increases, and if temperature increases, the atmospheric pressure decreases. So these variations in atmospheric pressure, they cause winds and rains. How these variations in atmospheric pressure are caused? Due to the variations in temperature. So this is the impact of temperature variations. Due to temperature variations, there will be variations in atmospheric pressure. These two are inversely proportional. If temperature decreases, atmospheric pressure increases, and if temperature increases, atmospheric pressure decreases. And thus they cause winds and rains. Temperature and rainfall affect life in many ways. As you know, plants and animals depend upon heat and water, and only some kinds of trees are grown. Trees and plants grow in hot regions, and some other kinds of trees and plants grow in cold regions. In some regions, hot regions, only some kinds of trees grow, and in cold regions, only some types of trees and plants grow. And in very cold regions like Tundra region or Arctic region, no plants and trees grow there because of very cold climate. Because these regions are covered by snow all through the year. And thus, depending on temperature, there are variations in plant and animal life and also vegetation. Depending on the climatic conditions, whether it is cool or warm, plants and animals will be living there, plants will be surviving, animals will be living there, and vegetation also grow depending on the temperature variations. Now, solar energy and sun's rays. What is solar radiation? Let us see. The energy constantly emitted by the sun is called solar radiation. It is emitted in the form of light and heat. Constantly, without stopping, the sun emits energy in the form of light and heat. And this energy is called as solar radiation. And what is insolation? This solar radiation which is emitted by the sun, it is received by the Earth's surface. And the amount of solar radiation which is received by the Earth's surface, it is called as insolation. So the solar radiation received by the surface of the Earth is called insolation. Insolation means incoming solar radiation. If you see carefully the word insolation, you find these three words within the word. Incoming solar radiation, insolation. So that is solar radiation and insolation. And the energy that is radiated by the sun is almost the same throughout the year. There will not be much variations. With very little variations, the energy that is radiated by the sun, it is the same throughout the year. The solar radiation received by the Earth's surface is called insolation. Just now we learnt it. The actual amount of solar radiation that reaches the Earth's surface is very small portion of what reaches the Earth's atmosphere. Actually, the portion of solar radiation which reaches the atmosphere, it is more. And by the time it reaches the Earth's surface, it becomes very little portion of the solar radiation which is emitted by the sun. And the reason for this is about 1/3 of the solar energy is reflected back. Reflected back means it is sent back by the Earth's atmosphere itself. And some part of the energy gets scattered in the atmosphere and absorbed in the higher levels of the atmosphere. And some part of solar energy is absorbed and reflected by the clouds, smoke or dust in the atmosphere. And that is the reason why on cloudy days it is not very hot. You might have seen on cloudy days it will not be so hot because we cannot see the sun directly. So, because of all these reasons, very little amount of solar energy reaches the Earth's surface. I am repeating this once again. The energy that is radiated by the sun is almost the same throughout the year with little variation because the sun constantly emits the energy in the form of light and heat, and it is the same throughout the year with the much variations. The solar radiation received by the Earth's surface is called insolation, and the actual amount of solar radiation that reaches the Earth's surface is very small portion of what reaches the Earth's atmosphere. What is emitted by the sun, it reaches the atmosphere, but all of this does not reach the Earth's surface, and the reason for this is about 1/3 of the solar energy is reflected back. Reflected back means sent back by the Earth's atmosphere itself, and some part of energy gets scattered in the atmosphere and absorbed in the higher levels of the atmosphere, and some part of solar energy is absorbed and reflected by the clouds, smoke or dust in the atmosphere. And that is the reason why on cloudy days it is not very hot. We don't feel very hot on cloudy days because the clouds cover the sun. So because of all these reasons, very little amount of solar energy reaches the Earth's surface. Now greenhouses. Now let us see what are these greenhouses. Just now we learned that in very cold regions no plants and trees grow. That is clear. But amazingly, human beings have tried to grow crops everywhere by creating an artificial environment for plants. By creating an artificial environment also we can grow plants. Vegetables, fruits, everything can be grown nowadays. And you might have seen some people growing flower plants, vegetables, etc. on terraces and on the roof of the houses also. Just like that, some people grow fruits and vegetables in very cold regions by building greenhouses. By building these greenhouses, some people grow fruits and vegetables in very cold regions also. And you can see one such greenhouse in the picture. See the greenhouse. Here plants are grown, and this greenhouse has transparent walls and roof. These greenhouses have transparent roofs and walls so that they allow heat to come in. To allow heat to come in, they have transparent walls and roofs, but they don't allow heat to escape again. And that is how an artificial environment is created to grow fruits and vegetables. And is it not interesting to say that in greenhouses, artificial environment is created for growing fruits and vegetables? That means everywhere we can do. Man can do anything, anywhere, if he wants to do. He has lots of ideas in his mind. So like that, he got an idea of growing these fruits and vegetables also in very cold regions. And the effect is greenhouses. By building these greenhouses, which have transparent walls and roofs, people are growing fruits and vegetables in very cold regions where no plants and trees grow. Now, sun's rays and Earth's surface. Now, let us first see what is terrestrial radiation. The amount of heat which is received by the Earth, it is again reflected back into the space. And that is called as terrestrial radiation. Now, I am defining this terrestrial radiation. The amount of solar radiation received by the Earth is reflected back into the space in the same amount. Suppose it receives 100 units, all the 100 units are again sent back into the space. In the form of long waves they are sent by the Earth's surface, and this is known as terrestrial radiation. Once again I am repeating, it is very important part of the lesson. The amount of solar radiation received by the Earth is reflected back into the space in the same amount as received by the Earth in the form of long waves. And this is known as terrestrial radiation. You can see in the picture here. Suppose the solar radiation received by the Earth is 100 units. The same amount is reflected back into the atmosphere again. Solar radiation reflected by the atmosphere 6%. You can see in the picture, reflected by the clouds is 20% and reflected by the Earth's surface is 4%. And total comes to 30%. 6%, 20%, 4%, total comes to 30%. And again, radiated to space from clouds and atmosphere, 70%. So the total comes to 100. That is 100 units. All the 100 units which are received by the Earth's surface, they are reflected back into the space in the form of long waves. And this is called as terrestrial radiation. The sun's rays which reach the Earth's surface do not hit the Earth's surface uniformly because of the curved nature of the Earth's surface. These sun's rays, they don't fall uniformly on the Earth's surface because the Earth has a curved nature. And because of this curvature of the Earth's surface, the same amount of solar energy falls on a small area on the equator and on a large area when we move north or south of the equator, that is towards the poles. Towards poles, the same amount of solar energy falls on larger areas, and that is why they are not so warm. And the same amount of energy falls on the equator, near the equator, on a smaller area. So equatorial regions are hotter. Now, angle of incidence. What is this angle of incidence? You might have learnt about all these terminology in your previous classes. Angle of incidence. Already we know that the sun's rays fall directly or straight on the equator. That is to say that at about 90 degrees on the equator and slantingly at the poles. The sun's rays fall directly, that is at about 90 degrees on the equator and slantingly at the poles, both the poles, north and south pole. And you can see this in the picture also. And this is called angle of incidence. The angle at which the sun's rays are falling on the surface of the earth, that is called as angle of incidence. And this angle of incidence influences the amount of energy received by the earth's surface. The angle at which the sun's rays are falling on the earth's surface, it also influences the amount of energy received by the earth's surface. Now children, see the table given here. This table shows how many units of solar radiation is received at which latitude. Just now we discussed that depending on the curvature of the earth's surface, The solar radiation also depends. How much solar radiation is received by which part of the earth? At the equator, same amount of solar radiation, it falls on a smaller area because sun's rays are direct on the equator. So on a smaller area, same amount of solar energy is received. And near the poles, they fall slantingly, so same amount of solar radiation on larger areas, as you have seen in the previous picture. Now let us see at which latitude how much insolation is received. Here, according to the table, at 45 degrees latitude, it passes through northern Japan, 75 units of solar radiation are received. But all the places which are located on this latitude, they receive 75 units of solar radiation. In the same way, at 66.5 degrees, that is polar circle, that means Arctic circle and Antarctic circle. 66.5 degrees north is Arctic circle and south is Antarctic circle. And at this latitude, 50 units are received. And at 90 degrees, that is equator, at 90 degrees means poles, north and south poles are 90 degrees, 90 degrees north, north pole, and 90 degrees south, south poles. And at these two poles, 40 units are received. So, now, one important thing, though the sun's rays fall directly on the equator, equatorial regions are not as hot as tropical regions. I am repeating once again. This is also a very important point. The sun's rays, we know that the sun's rays fall directly on the equator. But equatorial regions are not as hot as tropical regions. Next to the equator, to the north of equator, to the south of equator, it is tropical region. Between the tropics, it is tropical region. But these tropical regions are hotter than equatorial region. Though the equatorial region receives the direct sun rays, the tropical regions which are to the north and south of the equator, they are hotter than the equator. Now let me explain the reason for this. The reason for this is there is a low pressure belt called doldrums encircling the equatorial region. There is a low pressure belt which is called as doldrums and it encircles the equatorial region. It surrounds the equatorial region in the north and south also. And because of this low pressure belt, equatorial region gets heavy rainfall throughout the year. And every day in the afternoon, it rains heavily and towards nights the rainfall subsides and nights are very cool. And that is why equatorial regions are less hotter than the tropical regions. Almost 365 days. The places in the equatorial regions, they receive rainfall every day in the afternoon. Till evening it rains. Heavy rainfall occurs. And towards evening the rainfall subsides. And the nights are again cool. Because of this rainfall in the afternoon, nights are cool. So because of this continuous rainfall throughout the year, equatorial regions are not hotter than the tropical regions. That is to this, tropical regions are hotter than equatorial regions. When the earth revolves around the sun, the angle of incidence constantly changes. As we know that the earth revolves around the sun along its orbit, then the angle of incidence also constantly changes. As it revolves around the sun, the angle of incidence constantly changes. And in this way, the angle of incidence increases in the north during November and December, and the angle of incidence decreases in the months of May and June. Now, distribution of temperature on land and water. How temperature is distributed between land and water? Land is a good conductor of heat. That means land gets heated up quickly and cools down quickly when compared to the water bodies. And in comparison, water bodies get heated up slowly and cool down slowly than land. And that is why land masses and water bodies located on the same latitude have different temperatures. Actually, if two or more places are located on the same latitude, they should have same temperature. But here, if one is landmass and the other one is water body, they receive different temperatures. And that is the difference between land and water. Land gets heated up and cools down quickly when compared to the water bodies, and that is why land masses and water bodies, though they are situated on the same latitude, they record different temperatures. Now, heating of the atmosphere. How the atmosphere gets heated up? Generally, we think that the Earth's surface is receiving solar radiation. So, because of the solar radiation only, the atmosphere gets heated up. But it is wrong. Generally, we think that the Earth's surface is receiving solar radiation, that is, heat emitted by the sun, which we call as insolation. So, the air surrounding the Earth's surface, or the atmosphere as we call it, also gets heated up due to this solar radiation. But it is wrong. In fact, the atmosphere allows the sun's rays to pass through, but it does not get heated up due to this radiation. The atmosphere only allows the heat to pass through, but it does not get heated up due to this solar radiation. Once the solar radiation reaches the Earth's surface, it is again reflected back by the Earth's surface into the space. Just now I told you. It is called as terrestrial radiation. And due to this reflection of solar radiation, the atmosphere gets heated up. The sun's rays first heat the land and then the air surrounding it gets heated up. And that means the lower layers of the atmosphere get heated up due to terrestrial radiation but not insolation. Once again, I am repeating this point. Generally, we think that the Earth's surface is receiving solar radiation, that is insolation as we call it. So, the air surrounding the Earth's surface or the atmosphere as we call it also gets heated up due to this solar radiation only. That generally we think, but it is wrong. In fact, the atmosphere just allows the sun's rays to pass through it, but it does not get heated up due to this radiation. The sun's rays first heat the land and then the air surrounding it gets heated up. That means the lower layers of the atmosphere get heated up due to terrestrial radiation but not insolation. What is terrestrial radiation? The heat which is received by the Earth's surface is again sent back into the space. That is called terrestrial radiation. And due to this terrestrial radiation, the atmosphere or the air around the land gets heated up. And that is why it is warmer near the Earth's surface than the higher layers of the atmosphere. Now, heat balance. Let us see what is this heat balance. It is also called as heat budget. Sun's heat is received by the Earth's surface through insolation. The heat thus gained through insolation is balanced by the heat lost through terrestrial radiation. And this is called heat budget or heat balance. I am once again explaining. The Earth's surface is receiving sun's heat in the form of solar radiation, which we are calling as insolation. That means insolation is the solar radiation received by the Earth's surface. And that means the Earth is receiving insolation. And again, through terrestrial radiation, it is sending it back to the space. Through insolation, the Earth's surface receives insolation, and through terrestrial radiation, it gives back heat to the space. That means it is losing heat. It is gaining heat through insolation and it is losing heat through terrestrial radiation. And thus it is balanced. And this is called heat budget or heat balance. I am repeating once again, it is also a very important part of the lesson. Sun's heat is received by the Earth's surface through insolation. And the heat thus gained through, that means the Earth's surface is getting insolation, getting heat. It is balanced by the heat lost through terrestrial radiation. When it is sent back into the space through terrestrial radiation, that means the Earth is losing heat. The Earth is gaining heat through insolation. It is losing heat through terrestrial radiation. Thus, the heat which is received through insolation is balanced by the Earth's surface. And it is called as heat budget or heat balance. Now, what is the use of this heat balance or budget? If every day, suppose the Earth retains some amount of heat without reflecting back into the outer space, then day after day, year after year, the heat gets accumulated and the Earth's surface will become hotter and hotter. If every day some amount of heat is retained by the Earth's surface, the Earth's surface will become hotter and hotter after some days and some years. It will be more hotter to survive also. So, that is why the Earth's surface reflects back the amount of heat received by it. In the same amount it is sent back into the space. Nothing it retains. In the same, suppose it receives 100 units of solar energy, 100 units of solar radiation, it is reflected back into the space. And in the same way, if the Earth reflects back more heat than received, then what happens? Suppose the Earth is reflecting back more heat than it is receiving from the Sun. Then what will happen? The Earth's surface will become cooler and cooler. And that is, heat is reflected back by the Earth's surface in the same quantity as it receives from the Sun. That is why the heat which is received by the Sun by the Earth through insolation, it is sent back into the space and balanced by the heat which is sent back to the space through terrestrial radiation. Now, global warming. Due to cutting down of forests and due to the increased use of petrol and diesel, the content of carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere. When we use more and more vehicles, all these vehicles, they release carbon dioxide, and when we use petrol and diesel for our vehicles, it leads to the increase in the content of carbon dioxide. And also when we cut down the forest, as you know, the plants give out oxygen and they take in carbon dioxide. When we are cutting down the trees, this carbon dioxide in the atmosphere cannot be absorbed. If there are no plants and trees, who will take into this carbon dioxide? So when we are cutting down the trees and we are increasingly using the petrol and diesel for our vehicles, the content of carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere. And this carbon dioxide prevents radiation of heat from the earth. This carbon dioxide, when it is increasing the atmosphere in the air, it prevents radiation of heat from the earth. When the earth is sending back heat into the outer space, it is prevented by this carbon dioxide which is there in the atmosphere. And it leads to increase in global warming. It is retained by the earth's surface itself. So, it leads to increase in the global temperatures. And this is called as global warming. Increase in the global temperatures is called as global warming. And it is one of the burning issues in the world now. Because if the global warming increases, it leads to melting of ice caps in the polar regions and also glaciers, which in turn increases the sea levels all around the world. And coastal areas may get submerged. And it also causes many other environmental problems. Now, for today the lesson is completed. And from this part of the lesson I am giving you some homework. Read the part of the lesson completed, underlining all the important points with pencil, and learn the keywords from material. Learn all the 1 mark and 2 mark questions from this part of the lesson.